Oops. Today we are on to developing those go-getter teams. How to and why we need this? Why we need to develop go-getter teams? Look at this one. This is what is talent and high performance all about. In this uh, graph here, let me show you. If you give your employees a low complexity task, just make a call, or just go here, there, or just fill up this report or fill up this form. A low complexity task, if you give to an average performer and to a high performer, there's no difference. It's only a 50% difference between the average performer and a high performing employee, a high performing manager. If the task becomes of medium complexity, if you give them a task which requires cognitive input, which requires physical input, now the difference between an average performer and a high performer has gone up to 85%. If you up the ante a little bit further and make that task more complex, of high complexity, the average performance between an average performer and a high performer, the difference becomes 125%. Now look at the last one. If the tasks are very complex, highly complex, the difference between an average performer and a high performer is 800%. That's why we need high performing go-getter teams. That's why we need talent. I am not a great fan of talent. Talent, I believe, is a result of your circumstances, is the result of the opportunities that you get from your upbringing, from your financial circumstance in the family, from the educational institution you went to. Talent is the result of that. But still, I want you to focus on that part only at one of the stages of this developing go-getter teams that we'll see as we move further. Now, look at this one. This is what a result of 82% of the Fortune 500 companies. Look at this. Only 18% of the managers, 18% of the executives think that they recruit highly talented people. About 82% think, that they don't recruit highly talented people. You see this? And only 14% of these executives actually know that who the high and low performers are in their companies. Look at this one. And when you get down to this one, who removes low performers? Only 3% of the executives actually end up removing low performers. And the same is the percentage of developing those low performers. Only 3% of the executives admit that they are improving. I want you to be in that percent. Look at this one. No wonder that 73% of the employees are always thinking about another job. Isn't it interesting? That 43% of the people you hire, they start thinking of a new job right in the first year. So when you have this kind of a situation, no wonder that the employees who seem satisfied with their companies, it's 89% of the people stick to a company because they think that they are with a great leader, that the leader is inspirational, supportive, empowering, and cares for them, focuses on their development, on the employees' development. 81% of the people who think they are with a great company. But this is where I want you to be. You are the leaders. 89% of the people should be thinking that they are with this company, they are with genetics, because genetics is run by great leaders. And look at this one. although money matters, but only 76% as compared to the people you're working with. So bottom line is, when employees talk about a bad company, they're actually talking about its leaders. They're talking about its leadership.
Excuse me, Dr. Saleem.
Yes.
May I interrupt you?
Sure.
Could you just announce for everybody to click on the second screen? So there's a bit of confusion about the slide screen you're showing. So could you just tell everybody to click on that screen so it's showing up on the main screen? Everybody knows what the slide is about. Some people are missing the slide.
They're missing the slide.
Yeah. They cannot get a hang of the slide. So could you just tell them to click on the other screen you're sharing so that they can pin it to the main screen and they can see the slides.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about this one?
Yeah. This is okay. We can see your face, but
can you see this one?
Yes, now we can see, and everyone just should click on the second screen of Dr. Hafiz Saleem और उसको आप पिन कर लें. अगर आप उसके ऊपर क्लिक करेंगे तो एक पिन का बटन हो जाएगा तो आपको वो स्लाइड शो होती रहेगी. एक स्लाइड शो भी चल रहा है, सारे वो देख लें.
I think what I because I'm sharing the entire screen, so I think they should all be able to see what I'm seeing. So you can see me now and you can see the screen now. Can you all confirm that you can see both?
Yes, no. The screen is okay. The slide screen is okay. Some people couldn't get a hang of the slides.
Okay, the pin
showing earlier.
Oh, okay,
they
okay.
Were commenting in the message section.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So what I would suggest, if you'd be kind enough just to pin on if you just take the cursor up here where you see my face here somewhere, and you see this little pin, just click on that pin, and you should be able to see whatever I'm showing to you.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes, you can. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Okay. I mean, and I'm sorry, because while we're doing this, if you'd be kind enough just to take care of these comments, because I'm not looking at these comments right now, because when I'm presenting, be kind. If there is something, feel free to interrupt and ask me a question. I don't mind.
We got the comments covered. Don't worry about the comments.
Excellent. So if there is anything, take care of that. Interrupt me.
Anything that your attention.
Okay. All right. So don't worry about it. Like I said, interrupt me as many times as you like. I don't want it to become a monologue. I want it to become an interactive workshop session. So feel free. If someone has a question, interrupt me and I'll stop, and we have time to move on. So this is where I was talking about. This is where I want you to be. Great leaders. So like I mentioned, that when we talk about a bad company, we are actually talking about its people, its leaders. This is what it's all a bad company means. So now we are on to repairing. This is what I have created, what they call a 5-stage propulsion system. I just want to make sure everyone can see this screen, because this is the foundation of now a liftoff. This is where we are changing everything. Can you all confirm that you can see the screen that I was showing you, this one, with a rocket on it?
So we can't see the screen.
Can Daniel, can you help them?
गुलजार साहब, आप ये डॉक्टर हाफिज की जिधर आपको नजर आ रही होगी स्क्रीन, उस पर क्लिक करेंगे ना, सारे जिधर डॉक्टर हाफिज की, उसको अगर आप उनकी वीडियो के ऊपर क्लिक करेंगे जो आपको नीचे नजर आ रही है हर एक की, और आप उसको क्लिक करेंगे तो पिन का एक साइन बना आ जाएगा. तो वो पिन का साइन जो है ना, वो आपको फिर उनकी स्क्रीन ऊपर लिंक हो जाएगी और फिर आप वहां से देख सकते हैं. डॉक्टर हाफिज की 2 स्क्रीन्स आ रही होंगी. आप एक पे डॉक्टर हाफिज का अपना आ रही होगी वीडियो, और दूसरे पे आ रही होंगी ये स्लाइड्स चल रही होंगी. तो आप जरा अपना स्क्रॉल करके सारे देख लें नीचे.
नहीं दानियाल, नहीं, I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt you here. No, this will be only one screen. Joe, I mean, there won't be any 2 screens, just one screen, because I'm controlling it here. I'm sharing the entire thing. Can you see both? I'm moving between the 2.
नो डॉक्टर हाफिज, आपकी हमें ना यहाँ पे 2 नज़र आ रही हैं स्क्रीन्स। एक पे अगर मैं क्लिक करूँ तो आपका सिर्फ चेहरा नज़र आता है, अगर मैं दूसरी पे करूँ तो वी गो टू द स्लाइड।
अच्छा,
अगर आप अगर अपने देखेंगे द पीपल हु हैव जॉइन्ड दिस लिंक, तो आपके 2 आ रहे होंगे। एक पे स्लाइड्स आ रही हैं, एक पे आप खुद आ रहे हैं।
अच्छा, that's strange. Uh, let me do this again. Let me reshare it. Let me reshare it.
ओके।
Alrighty. What do you see now, Daniel?
Yes, now it is okay.
Yes, I can see the slide screen as well.
Okay. And what do you see now?
I see your picture now, but
Okay.
still there are 2 different screens you are sharing. Like in the contacts who have joined this meeting, we can see 2 Hafiz Saleem here.
Really?
Doctor. Yeah. But
Oh.
if you click on the other one, we'll be able to see the slides and you switching the screen as well. However, the one which we can see, that just shows your face, nothing else.
Okay.
So we have to select the other screen. दूसरी एक screen है, कोई इतना मुश्किल नहीं है.
Okay.
सारे अगर आपकी अगर सारे आपकी एक दूसरी स्क्रीन ज्वाइन कर लेंगे ना, अदर्स इन मीटिंग में ऊपर नीचे आके उस पर क्लिक करेंगे, डॉक्टर हाफिज सलीम लिखा हुआ है, वहां पे आपकी वो शो हो रही है, स्लाइड्स आ रही हैं। एक पे डॉक्टर हाफिज सलीम आ रहे हैं खुद और एक पे स्लाइड्स आ रही हैं, तो दूसरे वाला सारे ज्वाइन कर लें।
Okay. Oh boy. Let me see.
सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट, जहां डॉक्टर हाफिज सलीम इन ब्रैकेट प्रेजेंटेशन आ रहा है, वो वाली अगर विंडो आप सेलेक्ट करेंगे तो स्लाइड्स शो होंगी।
That's correct.
एक डॉक्टर हाफिज सलीम सिंपल है, एक डॉक्टर हाफिज सलीम ब्रैकेट में प्रेजेंटर है। प्रेजेंटर वाला को आप क्लिक कीजिए।
Thank you very much.
आगे आप सबको नजर आ गया? कमेंट सेक्शन में
Yes,
सारे
yes.
कर दें।
जी, yes.
Oh, this. I love this
डॉक्टर साहब,
technology.
ये मेरे पास एक ही स्क्रीन आ रही है।
मोहम्मद बख्श साहब, आप जरा ऊपर नीचे स्क्रॉल करें कॉन्टेक्ट्स के अंदर, जो ये मीटिंग में है, एक और पे लिखा होगा डॉक्टर हाफिज सलीम।
सर मेरे पास एक ही आ रही है, बस दूसरा कोई नहीं आ रहा कोई भी।
Okay, and you can see the presentation, the video where you can see Dr. Saleem.
थोड़ा सा बख्श साहब नीचे स्क्रॉल करें, आप देखें और कौन कौन बंदे हैं मीटिंग के अंदर।
सर इसमें गुलाम खालिक हैं, गुलजार साहब हैं, डॉक्टर सादिया हैं, इमरान साहब हैं, इनाम साहब हैं, इरफान जुनैद तारिक, मोहम्मद नजीर, नजीबुल्लाह, नवीद अख्तर, शहजाद अली और तारिक बेग।
तो आप अगर जो ऊपर लोग बने हुए हैं, जो ऊपर लिखे हुए हैं अदर मीटिंग से ऊपर, वहां पे डॉक्टर हाफिज सलीम एक दफा लिखा हुआ है, 2 दफा?
एक दफा ही आ रहा है सर।
आप उसकी स्क्रीन पे करें तो आपको स्लाइड नहीं आ रही?
नहीं, कोई नहीं आ रही सर, सिर्फ डॉक्टर साहब की पिक्चर आ रही है मुझे।
बख्श साहब के अलावा भी किसी को इशू आ रहा है?
सर आ गई, स्लाइड्स आ
गई हैं। चल, बख्श साहब के अलावा तो किसी को इशू नहीं आ रहा, बता दें अभी ताकि मैं एक दफा इसको सॉर्ट आउट कर लूं।
नहीं सर, ठीक है सर, सब ठीक है।
ठीक है,
2 स्क्रीन आ रही है, एक पे प्रेजेंटेशन है, एक पे।
हाँ जी बिल्कुल ठीक है। नजीर साहब, गुलाम खालिक, इमरान अलवी, इनाम साहब,
ये सर सही है, 2 स्क्रीन आ रही है, बिल्कुल सही है।
शहजाद साहब, तारिक साहब, सबको आ रहा है?
ये आ रही है सर।
Acha.
Okay.
If you like me to go back a couple of slides, I can do that, for the
yes,
for
yes,
the benefit.
definitely. वो आपकी शुरू में चीजें मिस हो गई, we apologize.
It's all right. So let's go back. Let me go back here. All right, so I'm going to start, from here. So we were at this one. So I think, we kind of covered this. These are the 5 areas of motivation. So I think we got the answers about that too. So we're not gonna go back on that. I also got you a couple of examples from the people who have applied some of these aspects of motivation. I noticed that most of you have been gracious enough to surrender your authority in order to motivate your employees. So going back here, so like I said, I will send you a link for a self-check, demotivation self-check, and you should be able to assess yourself after some time in 13 questions where you stand in terms of motivating or demotivating your employees. So we were on to now today's subject, which is developing go-getter teams. And I had mentioned what it means, why we need this, why we need to have a go-getter team, because the difference between a low performer, an average performer, and a high performer becomes 800% explicit. 800% if the task is very highly complex. So that's where you need a talented high performer. And I also mentioned that I'm not a great fan of talent because talent comes with opportunities, and all of us don't get to the same kind of opportunities when growing up, going to certain schools, financial well-being of our families. So we all have a diversity of circumstances and a diversity of opportunities, which gives some people an automatic advantage of others, and that's where the talent comes in. Talent is not something that you're born with. Talent comes in with your upbringing. I have a question here at this stage. We are looking at the difference between an average performer and a high performer, and the value a high performer can bring to a company. I need to ask, especially from the larger districts in your company, meaning Lahore, Karachi, Rawalpindi, what percentage of your people, what percentage of your managers, your medical representatives bring in 80% of your business? Let me repeat the question again, especially to the larger districts. What percentage of your representatives, what percentage of your people, your salespeople, bring in 80% of your business? Do you get the question? I need some answer to that one, especially from the people in Lahore, Karachi. What percentage of your sales force brings in 80% of your business?
Sir, here can I reply for this?
Sure.
In Rawalpindi, if I see that almost 80% of my people go to the 80% of the sales, almost, and the 20% are unable to perform the that ratio.
So you have 80% of the people bring in 80% of the business, which is equal.
Yes.
I need an example from Lahore or Karachi also.
So 60% of my managers bring 80% of my business.
Mm-hmm. What about, is this Lahore or Karachi?
Sir, it's
70% people getting. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, I'm Tariq from Lahore.
Yes, Tariq.
Sir, our 80% colleagues are getting 100% business, and 20% are underperforming.
Okay. That actually,
सर मैं
go ahead.
इसमें सर ये डिफरेंस ये है कि कुछ ग्रुप्स की जो है ऑलरेडी स्टेब्लिश है, तो उस ग्रुप्स में अगर अंडर परफॉर्मर्स भी है तो उनकी सेल एक हाई आ रही है, अगर यहाँ पे कंपेयर किया जाए ना।
Excellent.
कुछ न्यूली डेवलप्ड है लेकिन इसमें अच्छे परफॉर्मर्स है लेकिन उसकी सेल उतनी नहीं आ रही। इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि उसकी सेल कम है तो वो है, मतलब न्यू ग्रुप्स वाले जाहिर है वो इतनी ज्यादा प्रोडक्शन नहीं दे रहे जो कि ऑलरेडी 13-15 साल से जो वो है। अगर ग्रुप वाइज देखे जाए सर उससे आपको ज्यादा एनालिसिस करना चाहते हैं, एग्जैक्ट रिजल्ट पे जाना चाह रहे हैं, तो यू कैन आस्क क्वेश्चन दैट एक ही ग्रुप में कितने कौन कौन से एसपीओ उससे अच्छे रिजल्ट आपको मिल सकते हैं। क्योंकि अभी जैसे हमारे सीएनएस की जो ग्रुप्स है वहां पे एक एसपीओ अगर थोड़ा कम परफॉर्मर भी है तो वो इन वॉल्यूम जो है वो बिजनेस वॉल्यूम उसकी बहुत बड़ी होती है। लेकिन दूसरे ग्रुप्स बहुत छोटे न्यूली डेवलप्ड ग्रुप्स हैं, वहां पे एक अच्छा एसपीओ भी बहुत जो सीनियस ग्रुप का जो अंडर परफॉर्मर एसपीओ है वो उससे बहुत कम सेल कर रहा है, लेकिन ऑल्दो ही इज अ वेरी गुड परफॉर्मर, लेकिन चूंकि ग्रुप नया है और इस तरह इस वजह से वो उसकी परफॉर्मेंस उस बेस पे नहीं आ सकती है। तो अगर ग्रुप वाइज देखिए जाए यहाँ पे कुछ जो एस्टेब्लिश ग्रुप है उनकी सेल तो हाई है और ग्रुप वाइज अगर आप पूछ ले तो उससे ज्यादा आपको अच्छे रिजल्ट्स मिलेंगे सर। यू कैन गेट अ गुड रिजल्ट्स ऑफ व्हाट परसेंटेज ऑफ 80% जो सेल आ रही है उस ग्रुप वाइज पे वो कितने परसेंट लोगों से आ रही है, ये ज्यादा बेहतर सवाल होगा मेरे।
Yeah, I think you actually I think you are leading towards the one of the aspects that we'll be covering later in our presentation today. Thank you very much, for sharing that. So this is what I think probably some of you guys missed. This was a very large study in McKinsey and Company, and again from the Fortune 500 companies. This is showing you that the executives think that only 18% of the executives think that they recruit highly talented people. 82% think they don't recruit highly talented people. Look at this one. 14% of the executives think that they know who high and low performers are. Only 14% know who high and low performers are. And especially, I think, this is especially important for very large organizations. And as genetics move forward, you will see that this becomes so relevant to you also. Look at this one. Only 3% of the executives in Fortune 500 companies think that they can develop low performers quickly and effectively. And it's the same percentage of executives who think that they can remove low performers, from their organizations. These are astonishing numbers in terms of the ability of executives and leaders to have a say on the low performers and high performers within their organizations. So no wonder, this is what I was showing earlier, that 73% of the employees are always thinking about another job. And 43% of the people are actually thinking of quitting the job right in the first year. Look at this one. The first year of joining a company, they start thinking of another job. Why so? Because people value leaders. 89% of the people think that they are with a company because of its leader, because of the people they work with, its leadership, because they inspire them, they empower them, they care for them. This is where we want to take genetics. 89% of the people, or even more than that, should be able to think they are with this company because of the people, because of its leaders. They don't even, as compared to the people they work with, they don't even look at the rewards. They don't even look at the money they're getting from the company. They're looking at who they work with. And that brings us, to the main point. It's not, when they're talking of a bad company, they're actually talking about its people. They're talking about its leaders. And we'll turn this around through this 5-stage propulsion system. This is what I've created, the 5-stage propulsion system. This is just like a rocket lift off from the bottom all the way into the infinite space. This is where we're going to take through these 5 stages of developing the teams. You have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Stage 1 is, this is important, where you get to hire people. This is where all the screening comes in. This is where the talent comes in. Like I mentioned before earlier, I'm not a great fan of talent, but this is an opportunity because we are in a cutthroat environment of competition. If you get talent early on, fine. But you already saw that even with the talented people, 73% of the people are always thinking of quitting their job, and that shows that we need to continuously improve the leadership of our organization also. So this will be the 5-stage propulsion system of developing the go-getter teams. Can you see the screen? Can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Great. Now, do you have any questions so far? Because now we're getting into the meat of this. This is where it's going to go into the actual developing the go-getter teams. This is where the 5-stage system comes in. Do you have any questions so far for me? Okay. So stage 1, hiring. Stage 2, this is where the training comes in. Stage 3 is mentoring. Look at that. This is different from training, mentoring. Stage 4 is empowering, and stage 5 is elevating. This is where you get out of your way. So we're going to start with stage 1 of the 5-stage propulsion system. Stage 1, like I said, is the hiring stage. This is where you match the skills of your managers, of your medical representatives to the job, to the task they'll be performing. Now, here's my question. What are the top 3 skills that you're looking for a representative? I'm not talking about a manager. The top 3 skills that you're looking for in a medical representatives that you're hiring during an interview. What are the top 3 skills that you're looking for?
Sir, here can I answer about this?
Of course, anybody can answer.
Yes, sir. As the question asked about the top 3 skills, while we have to judge during the first interview.
Sir, I'm Naveed Akhtar from Karachi. Can I answer this?
I mean, if we find that any evidence or any witness or person, that person is too much. First thing we find is the hard work. Second is that how much professional knowledge about the field of that. I mean, professional knowledge means about the product knowledge and as well as the knowledge of the prospects and market knowledge. And third one, we see either that person is honest or not. Is he going to leave the previous job because of any cheating or any mishap or correlation or misfraudment plan? We have to identify that. If a person's previous history or record is okay, it shows that he is the honest person. So that's why I'm of the point of view that these 3 things I judge, and usually the managers judge in Pakistan.
Thank you very much. And
Sir,
I think Naveed, I'll come to you in just a moment.
Yes.
Naveed, I'll come to you in just a moment.
I explained the 3.
Yes. I think, I didn't get the name of the person who spoke earlier, but you mentioned honesty, you mentioned hardworking, and you mentioned the product knowledge. Honesty, you mentioned it right, that you can ask for the references, and that's how you get the at least the history, and from there you can chart the future expectation from that person. How do you assess hard work during an interview? How do you know that this person is hardworking or will be hardworking?
Sir, hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, Naveed Akhtar from Karachi.
Yes, Naveed.
Sir, we usually ask the person that he may share his you can say his success story that he believe is really that was a hard work that he did. So then we ask how they accomplish their tasks. Usually people are claiming that they have done this thing and this thing, so we actually ask them how for you it was possible for you to do it, and we actually ask sort of questions.
Thank you, Naveed. I think you have hit it hard. This is one of my favorite. You can say skills. That is, it's actually a trait. It's not even a skill. It's a trait. To be able to put in effort. Effort trumps talent. Even if someone is not, in the traditional sense, is not talented, you can always put in effort and make up for the talent or the opportunity that the person might have missed earlier. So I think you brought in very important point here. So this is how you match your skills. So we saw actually you mentioned hard work, you mentioned honesty, which and then you mentioned the knowledge. And Naveed, do you want to add something to that?
Yes, sir. For any interview, I usually consider three things. First of all, is his physical appearance.
Okay.
Number two is his communication skills, and number three is knowledge. Knowledge related the field he's applying for. The technical knowledge specifically.
Okay. Actually, the reason I was smiling, something came to my mind. Just an example here. I'll share the example with you. But remember that know the difference between the skills that can be learned and traits that generally are built in. Honesty is a trait. Product knowledge, presentation, communication, these are the skills that the person can learn. You cannot teach honesty. You cannot teach empathy. You cannot teach care to an employee. But you can teach the skills. So know the difference between traits and skills. So traits are the things that need to be assessed. And there are assessments available for most kind of traits, which are hard to extract in an interview, but you can definitely get it through the algorithms people have created in the form of questionnaires, in the form of the assessments. That answering those questions, you can actually assess the honesty of a person. You can assess the prospects of care and empathy and loyalty with the company that you can assess. These are the intangible intangible traits that are hard to evaluate and assess during an interview. But the example that came to my mind, I was showing you. I was talking about this. This was a large organization. They ended up finally hiring. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can go ahead. You can interrupt. Go ahead. जी बोलिए आप. I think there was a question. Danielle, please, don't mind. Just if someone has a question, I don't mind. I can go back. I don't lose the train of thought. Don't worry about it.
जी नजीर साहब पूछे क्वेश्चन. जी नजीर साहब पूछे. हेलो जी पूछे नजीर साहब.
ये सर मैं थोड़ी देर के लिए ऑफ हो गया था, अभी आया हूँ, तो ये जरा मैंने. हेलो
जी आवाज आ रही है आपकी. बोले.
हाँ जी. तो ये मैं इस पे थोड़ा सा ऐड ऑन करना चाहता हूँ. कि जब भी हम सिलेक्शन करते हैं तो एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी टैलेंटेड पीपल गेट बेटर रिजल्ट एज कंपेयर टू एवरेज पीपल। उसमें जब एवरेज पीपल पे हम मेहनत करते हैं तो हमें बहुत अच्छे रिजल्ट मिलते हैं, उसके मुकाबले में अगर टैलेंटेड लोग मेहनत करें तो वो रिजल्ट नहीं देते। और दूसरी चीज जो सबसे ज्यादा सिलेक्शन में वो हम फील करते हैं सेंस ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। और जितने भी एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी टैलेंटेड लोग होते हैं वो अपने असल गोल से हटे होते हैं, जो उनका जिंदगी का मेन गोल होता है। तो जो एवरेज लोग होते हैं उन्हें एक जिंदगी नहीं मिली होती है, इसलिए अगर हम एवरेज लोगों पे मेहनत करते हैं तो टैलेंटेड लोगों की निस्बत हमें बहुत अच्छे रिजल्ट मिलते हैं और परफॉर्मर भी होते हैं और सिंसियर लॉयल और नेस्ट लोग भी साबित होते हैं।
आई थिंक आपने जो ना बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट जो ना वो बात की है, दिस इज वेरी वैल्यूएबल। और ये वाकई जो है दिस इज नॉट ओनली लीडरशिप, दिस आल्सो सर्विस टू दोज हु कम अप विद इम्बैलेंस अपब्रिंगिंग, जिनकी अपब्रिंगिंग में वो चीज़ें जो हैं वो हर एक को अवेलेबल नहीं होती, जो टैलेंटेड पीपल को, जो आपके जैसे मैंने पहले भी कहा कि टैलेंट इज नॉट समथिंग that you're born with. Talent is your opportunities to give you the talent. तो आप उस
cannot compensate.
जी
हेलो
जी बोलिए।
Hard work can compensate the talent.
Of course.
मेरे दोस्तों ने पहले बात फैक्ट्री के किस एनवायरमेंट से के आप किस जगह पे खड़ा है इंटरव्यू देने की, बहुत हाई फाई
जी आई थिंक ये थोड़ा सा कनेक्शन इशू है, इसलिए वो पूरी बात हम नहीं सुन सके, लेकिन आई गॉट द जिस्ट ऑफ योर स्टेटमेंट एंड योर कमेंट्स। आई थिंक दिस इज वेरी वैल्यूएबल। और
तो आपको पता चलेगा, उसकी फैमिली हिस्ट्री बता देगी कि ये लड़का हमारे लिए कितना फ्रूटफुल और बेनिफिशियल होगा। सिलेक्शन में ये चीज बहुत ज्यादा रोल प्ले करती है।
Of course.
जब हम उसके एनवायरमेंट से वो निकल के आया है।
Of course.
But डॉक्टर साहब,
क्या आप अपनी मेहनत और उसमें कितना अमल दखल है इसका?
वेरी नाइस जी। आप बोलिए। जी
क्यों डॉक्टर साहब, आप एग्री करते हैं मेरी इस बात से?
Of course 100%।
डॉक्टर साहब, मैं यहाँ पे एक डिस्कस करना चाहता हूँ कि यहाँ पे बात हो रही है टैलेंटेड पीपल एंड हार्ड वर्किंग पीपल की। आई थिंक एवरी पर्सन हैव अ टैलेंट, डिपेंड करता है कि उसका मैनेजर उसके टैलेंट को कैसे एक्सप्लोर करता है। और उसमें वहाँ पर सर ये भी रोल आता है कि जो हार्ड वर्कर होता है और टैलेंटेड ना हो तो वो रिजल्ट जो कि वो उसने 6 महीनों में देना होता है, वहाँ पे जो टैलेंटेड पीपल होते हैं वो रिजल्ट वही 3 महीनों में ले आते हैं। तो रिजल्ट तो दोनों लाते हैं, क्या भी ले आते हैं। बट जो हार्ड वर्कर होता है विदाउट हैविंग अ स्किल्स, वो रिजल्ट आने में टाइम लगाता है बहुत। स्किल्स विद हार्ड वर्किंग है वो रिजल्ट जल्दी ले आता है।
मैं इसमें थोड़ी सी ऐड बात कर दूं, मैं इसमें थोड़ी सी एक चीज ऐड करूंगा आपको डॉक्टर साहब। ये जो आप इनाम साहब बात कर रहे हैं ना, टैलेंट नो डाउट 3 महीने में रिजल्ट ले आएगा, लेकिन 3 महीने के बाद उसकी डिमांड वो होगी जो कंपनी को फुलफिल करने में वो कंपनी नहीं कर सकेगी। उसकी इस तरह की डिमांड होगी, वो जो टैलेंट है वो अपने टैलेंट की वजह से अपने आप
जी आई थिंक नज़ीर साहब जो है ना वो गॉट डिस्कनेक्टेड अगेन। तो वो definitely very valuable discussion going on here. और इसको once we explore this, आपको पता चलेगा कि it's a leader's job to work with those who are less talented and make them at par, bring them at par, with the high performers, with the talented people. So skill matching was the first thing. Thank you for sharing your experience with me in terms of the skills. And I believe, that you, as we move on, you will see that there are other skills also required, needed, much more than, just the ones in that we explored it at the beginning. We, like I've mentioned, that we also need to look at the traits. The traits are the built-in. Generally, these come, from the culture, the honesty, telling the truth, caring for others, empathy, all these kind of things. These are all the traits, and withstanding failure, withstanding withstanding opposition. Well, all these things are the traits. Now, I'm pretty sure that you're also looking at the relationship and collaboration skills of your employees, because this is the 21st century skill. These are the soft skills which probably are hard to identify, are hard to assess during an interview, but important. Again, you can give assessments, you can give evaluations that can explore the person's ability to collaborate and with others and build relationships with customers, build relationships with other colleagues, with leaders. All these are important skills. Then there are emotional skills. This is where comes in, when can you take the heat? Can you take the stress of work? Can you take failure? Can you withstand competition? Can you take other people passing by you? Can you take other people succeeding and you not succeeding with that kind of a speed? These are all part of the skills, and we'll discuss how to develop these skills when we get to the second stage of this 5-stage propulsion system. Then, very important, I believe, that you also take into account the communication skills. How well the person can communicate in writing, orally, and also in presentations, large presentations. So all these are some of the skills. I'm not sure this is an exhaustive skill, but looking at what might be needed for an organization like genetics. These are the skills I thought. But while you have all of that, look at the last piece here. When you're hiring that person, are you checking as a leader, as an employer, as a boss? Are you checking in your own biases, your conscious, unconscious biases? The person, the way the person looks, how he looks or she looks, the way the person wears, what kind of degree, what kind of college he went to. Do you have a bias? Do you have a leaning towards something that you yourself went through? So, okay. So we were looking at, are you checking in your own biases when you are interviewing people? And these could be the biases of, the person should have a, certain outlook. दाढ़ी होनी चाहिए, ये फलां का वो लम से पढ़ा हुआ होना चाहिए, एचसन कॉलेज से आना चाहिए. Do you have a leaning, or do you have a bias towards these kind of strengths, or these kind of traits, or somebody brings in from their background? The person, like somebody said about the way the person looks. What if a person looks disheveled, but he's able to communicate, he's able to sell you? Would you hire that person or just leave it? And the example that I originally wanted to give before was about the two assistant professors they wanted to hire in at a large university, and and at the end of the interview, when they came in for the final, so only two guys left. So they take that person out, just for a quick lunch at the cafeteria. At the end of the lunch, the person actually picks up the plate. You are hiring for an assistant professor, so he picks up the plate and starts, wiping the plate, with his first with hand, then with his own tongue, and then they the people who are hiring, the dean, the associate dean, all that, they were looking at that and say, man, what we are getting into. So the person was already at the final stage, but they said, look, he is licking the plate in front of us. So they just shook hand and said, all right, we'll get back to you, and they let him go. The second person comes in. They also take him also for a quick lunch at the end of their deliberations, their interview, and this person, they said, do you have any question? He says, I have a simple question. What is the university's dating policy between the professors and the students? And now, what kind of question was that? So they actually went back and hired the person who had licked the plate, because they said that they would rather go with that one, who is licking the plate, than the person who's already looking at the dating policy between the professors and the students. So this is these are the kinds of biases, how the person behaves, how the person takes up himself. These are the kind of things that we need to check when we're hiring this. This brings me to the end of stage one. This brings to the end of the hiring stage. I want, if there is any question or comment at this point, I will invite you for that.
Sir, I'm Naveed Akhtar from Karachi.
Yes, Naveed.
Can you, sir, elaborate point number 2 of the last slide?
Traits.
Yes, sir.
These are essential strengths. These are the things that cannot be seen. These are the things that you cannot be trained on. These come from your family, your upbringing, your culture, and I'm talking about things, and these are actually universal principles. The principle of honesty, the principle of empathy for others. These are the principles of being emotionally intelligent, being able to self-control, self-manage in terms of crises, under stress, how you hold yourself up. These are the things that you cannot see. These are called traits. The traits are the strengths that are supposed to be accumulated over time, right from the day you're born. And these are cultural, and these are the traits vary from culture to culture. The traits that in Pakistan would be different from the traits here in the United States. But now I think you're getting the idea, Naveed. Where I'm getting, with in terms of separating the skills from traits.
Yes, sir. It's quite clear now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because this is very important, to know the difference between the two. Traits are hard to assess during an interview, but references and all that kind of thing give you some idea, but you don't know how the person will react in terms of crises, in terms of competition with other colleagues. These are the kind of relationship skills. So these are the kind of things that fall under traits. So we are moving on to the next thing. Now we're on to stage 2. Now we're entering into the training part of that. I apologize. This entire workshop, takes a day. Sometimes it is spread over 2 days, and I'm trying to condense it in about 2 hours, if I could. And try to get you off of here, because I know for me it's just start of the day. It's about 9:20 at this point, but for you guys it's already the end of the day. So I really admire. I thank you, all of those that you have come to Amir's invitation to give your time, the time that you're supposed to be with your family. But I think this is one of the what I call this is my anti-anxiety. During this lockdown, I am having the best time of my life. I've never been so slow in my life. This is the first time I've slowed down a little bit. This is the first time nobody is expecting me out and with them. This is the first time, that I can devote all of my time in new learning, and that is the best anti-anxiety. I have no clue, how many people are dying in New York, which is about 20 minutes from me over here, and I am having the time of my life, with my family. Touch wood, we are okay. But the best anti-anxiety, first of all, there's no TV. I have the TVs, that are left and right, but TVs are off, and all my time is spent, in things like I'm doing right now with you guys. And in order to prepare for these kind of trainings, this gives me the opportunity for new learning, and that is the best anti-anxiety. You wanna deal with the lockdown? Learn something that you didn't know before, and I'm telling you, you won't have any anxiety of what's going on in the world. You will live, you will live large under these circumstances. You cannot have more critical circumstances than these. And if you're still happy, it's only because of the new learning. Take opportunities of this online learning. All right, so we are moving on to training. This is naturally, this is what you take care of that. When you train a group, there's the first line. You are giving them a baseline assessment, where they stand in terms of their communication skill, where they stand in terms of their product knowledge, where they stand in terms of their ability to write reports, where they stand in terms of their ability to present, to make phone calls, or to give a presentation in front of a doctor. These are the baseline assessments you give them, whether you are giving them verbally or you are giving them in writing. This is the first thing you go over. This is my favorite. In training, you cannot have a high-performing go-getter team without making them emotionally intelligent. And as far as I know, I did not go to any school where they was teaching emotional intelligence skills. But you as leaders can teach emotional intelligence. And look at this one. What do we mean by emotional intelligence for work? You cannot have a whole person without this. Look at the bottom. Self-awareness. Without knowing your own strengths and your weaknesses, making your employees aware of their weaknesses. And there are assessments for that. And I can in future sessions, I can share those assessments which tells your employees to identify their own weaknesses, their own behaviors, their own attitudes, their self-awareness. Not only, just this bombastic achievements or their own accomplishments. Do you know that we all have our weaknesses? Can you identify? You don't have to share with me, but you as a person should be aware of your weaknesses in addition to your strengths. So self-awareness. Then the second part of being emotionally intelligent, self-management. Can you control your impulses in terms of in situations of crises? Can you stay calm in terms of stress? In situations of stress, can you keep yourself composed? Self-management. Then you move up. This is the first two are the personal competencies. This is the person's own strengths. Social awareness. This is where now you're dealing with me. Now you're dealing with others. Now you're dealing with your colleagues, your boss. Can you understand the needs and preferences of others? The training of emotional intelligence is extremely, extremely important to have a high performer. The people who are socially intelligent, socially aware, they are the people who are likable. They are the people who have friends. They are the people doctors like to talk to. But if you don't even know about your own impulses and your own pushings, you're not going to be socially aware, and you are not going to bring your customers closer to you. Your doctor is not ready to listen to you because he knows it's all about you. Now, do you have the ability to build rapport with your colleagues, with the colleagues who antagonize you? A boss who bugs you, a boss you dislike, a boss you think is not competent. Can you still build a rapport with him? And can you, moving on, can you develop trust with all of these people that you will be required to work with? Can you develop trust? And how to develop that trust? That is a whole session in itself with others. And finally, once you get to that point, you get that influence automatically. You don't even need a title. You don't even need an authority. You get that influence where people will love to listen to you. They're waiting to listen to you. So, going back here, training. So, let me go back. Sorry. All right. So this was emotional intelligence. Now we're talking about when you start a new group, team identity. This is part of the training. They must feel that they're part of a team. This is the sense of belonging. Look at this one. When you identify yourself with a team, this is what happens. You have a name. You have an identity. You have a sense of belonging. You see this? You are Lahore Qalandars, Karachi Kings, all of these things. This gives you the identity. Although this has no relevance, but that sense of belonging is part of the training. That sense of belonging is what is making you feel that you're there with them, and there are people there who are looking for you. So you have the team identity. This is the stage, the training stage, where you have what I call the trust meetings with your managers. Now remember that. Here is the difference. Your manager ought to be, to the best of your ability, must be different from your trainer, must be separate from your trainer. You cannot have the manager that you are answerable to, who has to evaluate you, also be your trainer. Ideally, you have to have two separate entities, the training entity and the managerial entity. Here's my question. Is it what, Amir, maybe this is a question for you. Are you having your training department separate from your managerial department, or it's all in one? This question is for Amir or anyone on his behalf, if someone can answer that question.
It's the same.
It's the same. Ideally, you need to have two separate entities. Your manager cannot be your trainer or your mentor. There's a protocol here. It's called Scrum. If you're familiar with the term Scrum, anyone familiar with the term Scrum? Scrum is a project model. It's a managerial model. A person who is called a Scrum Master, he is a temporary boss for a certain task. That temporary boss is separate from the hierarchical manager, the direct line manager of the employees or of the team. Scrum Master is like the trainer, the mentor, who is keeping you on task, but his job is only to take care of your skills, your training, your ability to perform that task. He is not evaluating you. He's not giving you the reward. He's not giving you the incentives. Incentives come from your direct line manager, who is responsible for the end result. So ideally, if at some point, if you can separate these two entities, the training entity and the direct line management entity, that'll be great. Until then, you can work around. Just being aware of these skills, would make you feel that you can keep these two roles separate from each other. We all at the beginning, majority of your medical representatives might have what they call the communication intimidation. Communication is an art. Communication comes through practice. Communication comes with mastery. Communication comes with the confidence of knowing your subject. Communication comes with the ability to show successes. So communication is also something that you can practice, with your employees over and over again, until they become, because most of your, it's just like confidence practice. When you practice more and more your communication, you become more fluent, and that's how you are able to pass it along or to deliver your message. Second, start thinking of, during the training, start creating a culture of joy. When you are showing happiness on your face, your workplace shows happiness. That brings a sense of belonging. That shows the security of working in a place where the people are generally not only happy, they're showing happiness through their actions. They're showing happiness through their faces, through their emotions. So developing a culture of joy, whichever way you can do it, and there are plenty of ways to show that, because that also takes care of, let them, or what they call, basically fear of failure. Fear of failure, my saying is, if you let the people fail, they will stop quitting, especially with your kids. If your kid is bringing bad grades from a school on a test or on something, let your kid fail, but still give him that embrace. Give him that it's okay to fail once, because you will have another chance. Same goes for your employees. Tell them it's okay to fail. It's okay not to produce. You will have another chance because I'm here for you. They will not quit. They will not be part of that 73% we talked about who are constantly thinking about finding another job. Especially, they won't be part of that 43% who start thinking of finding another job in the first year. If you tell them, I would encourage you to fail. Let me go back here. That encourage them to fail. It's okay to fail. So then we get to the point where you take care of their personal habits. When we talk about personal habits, we talk about those habits which impact and impede work. The timeliness, time management, their smoking habits, their daydreaming habits, their habits of being physically less than active. All these are personal habits which need to be taken into account and talked about during the training time, because habits, good and bad, both can be formed and unformed. And this is my favorite area. And again, I would not be able to speak too much on habit forming and in this session, because habit forming in itself is a full-fledged course. But just to give you an idea, habits all start, with some kind of a cue. There is something that you see that triggers a habit, where it's a smoking habit. Maybe, what's the cue? You had food, and now after food, you feel like smoking. So just having a heavy lunch is a cue to have another cigarette. And that takes you to a routine of taking that step and lighting up a cigarette, because after that lighting up a cigarette, the reward that you get, that the hormones that rush through your brain at that point, this is where the basal ganglia gets satisfied in the reward section. So same thing, with all kinds of habits. After. I'm sorry, go ahead. There was a question? Was there a question? Okay. So bottom line is that in habit formation, we can actually build habits, and we can also unbuild those habits which are impeding your work. And in some future class, in some future session, we're going to talk about those things also. So going back here, so now we have the time management and procrastination. Procrastination, basically, you don't procrastinate. You don't procrastinate if I tell you, okay, you have won a lottery, and there's a car waiting for you 200 miles, from your workplace. No matter what time of night that is, you will get up and go and get that car. Or you have a date with a girl, she's waiting for you at the restaurant. No matter what time of day or night that is, you will get up and go to that date. Because procrastination is only for the things you don't want to do. Procrastination is just that you don't want it in the first place until it becomes an emergency. So we'll talk about that also in a separate session. Each one of these, unfortunately, is a session in itself. And I'll teach you, what, this is my area of research, by the way, memory training. I've made people memorize the entire books and all that. Just there's a strategy for that. And if our time came, I'll teach you how to don't carry your calendars with you. Don't have to carry any of the computers with you. You can follow along your entire day's schedule without even looking at a paper, just by the power of your memory. And that will be a separate training in itself. All right. This is when you're hiring a person. This is now we're coming towards the final stage of training. You are not hiring just the person, for his mental capacity. You're hiring an entire person. Without a healthy body, healthy mind, there's no effective employee. There's no go-getter. Look at this one. At workplace, this is what you all need. Everything is taken care of. Your physical exercise. And in my workplace, by the way, I don't sit. I have a walking with a treadmill. Walking, not a running treadmill. It's a walking treadmill with a desk on it. So before I come home from my office, I've already walked at least 5 miles every day, because my computer is on the treadmill, and the nature of work is that I have to be in one place most of the time. But instead of sitting on a desk, I can walk and work at the same time. So you figure out, those of you who are managers who have to be at the desks for most of your time, find out create a culture of activity, physical activity, and you'll find that a healthy body will lead to healthy mind too. So take off, if you have a desk in your office, just put it away. A standing desk, a walking desk, anything that you can think of that can show the lifestyle that you are adopting, the others would follow automatically. This is the culture of a healthy body and healthy workplace that you want to communicate to your employees, and you will see the difference just with that. Look at this. So these are all different activities. This is an example I was talking about. Instead of having a sitting meeting, can you arrange a meeting someplace where you can stand or walk and have conversation at the same time? You don't have to be sitting all the time to have a meeting like this one. You can do this. Today is the first day because I've just moved around, and usually I have in these kind of meetings in my backyard with the air blowing and the breeze running, and that gives a different atmosphere for me to work, and you don't feel clustered. You don't feel in an office. So coming back to this, the final stages of training, we are talking about wherein you prepare your medical representatives for role plays, for presentation in front of doctors, and different ways. And we'll talk about that again. Like I said, I think we are moving into the second, the end of second hour now, and I don't want to spend too much time. But the 30-second pitch, you have only about 30 seconds to grab attention of a doctor. And within 30 seconds, can you grab his attention? Can you tell him something that he didn't know before? That's the only thing that will make you welcome in his place. And how you do that, you show plenty as a boss, as a trainer, you show him a live scenario modeling, meaning you call doctor during the training or you go with him during the training and you speak and let them watch how you perform again and again. I'm pretty sure some of you, I remember in my days of pharmaceutical, when we started, we used our managers. There were no trainers separate at that time too. They were able to go with us and present with us. Are you doing the same thing now? Do you have a question so far? I know I have condensed too much of information in the training part. There must be so many questions, but I'll wait. Tell me if there's any questions so far. Daniel, can you let them speak? I know you got the hold of their mics. Can you let them speak? Dr. Bakhtawer, can you let Dr. Bakhtawer speak? Oh, Dr. Bakhtawer left the meeting. Anyone else? I would like someone to speak. Daniel, are you there? Amer?
Hello, yes, sir.
Yes, Dr. Bakhtawer. I saw in the chat you had a couple of comments. Is there something that you want to add or a question?
The session is going quite smooth and informative for us, so I believe we can move on to the second half of the session. It was going fine.
Okay. Is there someone else who has a question here?
No, I think we can move on.
Okay, so we are on to the third stage now, by the way. So we took care of the first stage with the hiring, then the training part. Now we are on to the mentoring part of that. At the mentoring stage, now, like I mentioned, a mentor ideally has to be separate from the manager, the direct manager. At the mentoring stage, this is what I mentioned before, the Scrum model, where this is the person who is not directly evaluating or giving you incentives. This is a person who is just there to mentor you, to guide you in the field, and hands-on training and hands-on support during the initial whatever you call a couple of months or a year, whatever you have a model for that. So you have the mentor-manager separation. This is what I mentioned before. This is where, again, you continue creating the culture of transparency and trust. Again, this trust and transparency we were talking about, with the manager. You have what we call the trust meetings with your manager throughout the training session, through the training phase and the mentoring phase. You have the trust meetings with the direct managers. These trust meetings are there just to tell the employee that the leader is there, the manager is there to take care of them. This is where, yes.
Sir, आपने अभी बताया कि मेंटोर और मैनेजर को डिफरेंट होना चाहिए। ट्रेनर जो है सर मेरे ख्याल में वो एक किसी कुलीग के साथ माइट बी क्वार्टर में एक दफ़ा उसके साथ इंटरेक्शन हो, क्योंकि 400-500 पीपल एक इंडस्ट्री में काम कर रहे होते हैं डे टू डे जो। और ट्रेनिंग ऐसा पार्ट है जो एक दफ़ा में कभी भी एक एसपीओ डेवलप नहीं हो सकता, उसको डे टू डे उसकी कोचिंग ज़रूरत होती है। तो वहाँ पे सर जो मैनेजर है वो एक ट्रेनर का रोल भी तो उसको डे बाय डे करना होता है। तो जो डेली जो रूटीन की वर्किंग में कोचिंग का जो पार्ट है दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ ट्रेनिंग, कोचिंग इज अ पार्ट ऑफ ट्रेनिंग। तो वहाँ पर सर वो जो मेंटोर और आप जो बता रहे थे कि ट्रेनर और मैनेजर को डिफरेंट होना चाहिए, तो उसके साथ तो हर टाइम मैनेजर होता है, मेंटोर ये ट्रेनर तो उसके पास हर वक्त अवेलेबल नहीं होगा।
I think I can understand the limitation that you have, the personnel limitation that you have on that. इसके पीछे जो साइकी है, जो इसके पीछे जो रीजन है इन दोनों रोल्स को सेपरेट रखने की, वो ये है कि जो मैनेजर है वो इवैल्यूएट करता है, वो उसके फाइनेंसेस को कंट्रोल करता है, उसने उसके इंसेंटिव्स कंट्रोल करने हैं, ठीक है। An employee is trying to mold himself to the liking of a manager. That's not the goal. That should not be the goal. Okay, I will do whatever my manager is expecting me to do. He should be doing things autonomously on his own, because based upon his own training, not to make the manager happy, not to build his relationship with the manager. That's why we're having the low performance, because half of the time is spent on guessing what the manager wants me to do. A mentor has nothing to do. He doesn't have to make a mentor happy. A mentor is there only to teach him the skills, only to teach him the art of selling, only to tell him how to make him an active, better salesperson. A manager is the bottom line person. If you didn't meet your quota, if you didn't meet your goal, my face will tell you I'm unhappy, that you have disappointed me. Now, as an employee, my next step is how to get out of this situation. That's why these two roles I'm stressing must be separate. The Scrum model that I mentioned before, in large organizations, especially large organizations, I don't know in terms of the financial standings, whether there's a possibility to have mentor. Why not, just promote one of the performers, one of the good performers, as a mentor from within the ranks, and that person's job would be to just go out and take care of the training part of that, the mentoring part of that within the team. So this is because it's so important. That's why I'm stressing that these two roles must be separated, in order for an organization to become highly effective. Otherwise, there are other factors that will also be in play, wherein the employee is always looking for ways to just make take care of the mood of his boss all the time. And because the boss, on the other hand, should be able to build that trust that I'm there to take care of your career. I'm here to take care of your personal objectives. My objectives are achieved only if your personal objectives are met. And I'll show you as we move forward. I'll show you when we get to the 5th stage that how empowering that stage becomes. Because right after this, right after mentoring, let's move on. Because in this stage you're also inviting them in actually problem solving. You all have problems. Instead of just telling them to solve a problem this or that way, invite solutions from them. Ask them to give you the suggestions how to solve a problem. And This is where you also simplify procedures. This public shout out. This is what this is where actually you acknowledge their accomplishments. And this is and during this mentoring, we're also talking about having mindfulness sessions. This is where you calm them down. This is where you make them self-aware. Mindfulness sessions before the meetings. Why not have a mindfulness 5-minute sessions? Just a 5 minutes, session, mindfulness session, meditation session before I start a meeting. That shows a culture of care. That shows a culture of self-awareness. If you move forward, the meetings have to be driven by agenda. So it's because it's being driven by an agenda. That's why we're almost 2 hours into this, and we're still going on because we didn't finish our task, and we're trying to condense all of that's supposed to be in 2 days into about 2 hours. So I'm going to move fast from here, but I don't want to miss this last part. If you look at this one, leaders eat and speak last. This is very valuable a strength or an honor for a leader. The leaders eat last and speak last. If you remember that the Diamond Princess cruise that was held off held off Japan. I think it was next to what I think Kyoto somewhere I think Yokohama. It was cruise off of that, and the last person who left the ship was the captain. He was on the same cruise where there were hundreds and hundreds of people stricken with coronavirus. That was the last person. Leaders eat and speak last. Look at your meetings. Who is speaking and how much? Are you the one, as a leader, taking all the time of the meeting, or you are letting the employees give their ideas, make them feel important, make them feel valuable, make them give their input in the progress? That's how you give them autonomy. That's how you give them the sense of belonging. So we are moving towards the end. We already talked about team identity, because team identity, once you give them a team identity, Lahore, you want to call it Lahore genetics, Karachi genetics, whatever you want to give them a name, that identity creates a built-in sense of competition, which I'm pretty sure is already there. So you have we already talked about quitting, let them fail, they won't quit. Let them fail. Encourage actually failing. This is what I'm telling you. This is what is a message. Encourage failing. Encourage a culture of asking for help. I know we're ashamed of asking for help from others because we think that will make us look weak. We come from a culture where we want to show that we are machos. We know everything. We are competent. It's okay to ask for help. Encourage. Set up a system of where people can ask questions, not just anonymously. Ask for help by name. I can't do it. Can someone help me? I don't know how to do this. So the ability to ask for help, creating a culture for that, is the job of a leader. And that means we are also giving full focus on low performance throughout the training. This is where now we're entering the stage 4 of our 5-stage propulsion system. Empowering. You are empowering the entire team. I am a believer in team incentives as against individual incentives. Individual incentives create animosity. Team incentives create cohesion. They like to work with each other as team. So individual incentives, I'm not a great fan of individual incentives, because when you want to encourage collaboration, when you want to encourage the entire go-getter team, I didn't say develop go-getter individual. Remember that the title of this workshop is develop go-getter teams. So team incentives as against individual incentives. And at this stage, initially you invited problem solving. Remember that at stage 3. In stage 4, You are delegating your problem solving. You're asking them, solve it yourself. Don't even tell me. We want you to, whatever the problem is, you solve it because you own it now. So that gives empowerment. This is stage 4, wherein you start giving them the leadership training. Now you are developing a colleague. Now you are developing a peer, somebody who's not a subordinate anymore. You are at this stage, which may come a couple of years down the line, 2 years, 3 years. You are now giving the leadership training. Now you know the person is thinking, I am being developed to be a leader in this very organization. That is what is all about. You are at this stage, you are delegating your authority and your resources. And remember, someone mentioned in terms of giving autonomy, you are giving your own authority. You can make certain decisions on my behalf because I have trained you so well. So at this point, you can also take the resources. This is this is my total budget. Part of this budget is now your budget. You can you make use of these resources the way you want it. And this is now we're coming to the last and final stage, deep into space. This is where you are elevating your employees. This is where you are promoting them. You are making them maybe your own boss. It's okay to feel the pride of leading someone from being an employee to all the way to your peer. And even if the person is competent enough to become your boss, this is where you write references for them. This is you move out of their way. This is where you elevate them to become leaders. And you know what? At this point, be ready to bid farewell too. If they want to leave you at that point and go to another company and go for their careers, so be it. That's the job of a leader. That brings me to the end of this presentation. And now I'm pretty sure there must be a few questions. So these were the 5 stages so far. Go ahead. Daniel, just open all their mics and let them speak.
ओके श्योर डेफिनेटली अच्छा अब हम इस तरह करते हैं कि बारी बारी सारे जो अपने क्वेश्चंस हैं और अपनी जो इनपुट्स हैं और जो भी हमारे दिमाग में चीज़ें चल रही हैं वो पूछते हैं हम मैं बारी बारी नेम कॉल आउट करता रहता हूँ जस्ट टू बी मेक श्योर कि हम ज़्यादा बीच में डिस्टर्बेंसेस ना आए और हम बारी बारी कर सकें तो इसलिए थोड़ा सा ये वाला कर लेते हैं तो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद इनामुल हक साहब और we'll finish through the questions of everybody now. Thank you so much, Dr. Saleem. It was really knowledgeable presentation by you, especially the 5 points you have mentioned and the difference in skill and trade which you have told us to watch out the differences and how to cope up with the skill and trade and how we can polish up the skills. And the one thing which is definitely, I think, missing in our part, which I have realized, is the assessment of trade via some international algorithms and questionnaires that are available. I think there are some multiple type of questions which you have to fill out, and then there's a score which assesses the traits. So this was something I really would like to incorporate in our culture as well, to assess the traits via the internationally recognized algorithms.
That's wonderful.
Thank you once again. और इनाम साहब आप अब पूछिएगा.
Thank you very much, Daniel sir. सर बड़े अच्छी तरीके से आपने एलैबोरेट किया जो हायरिंग से लेके आखिर में जो मोटिवेटिंग और उनको प्रमोटिंग आपने जो कहा जो हमारे वैल्यूबल इम्प्रूविंग होते हैं इसमें सर मोटिवेशन के हवाले से मैं कुछ डिस्कस करना चाहूँगा कि जो इंटरव्यू है कि नॉन टेंजिबल मोटिवेशन जो है वो एक टेंजिबल मोटिवेशन से ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है आपके इस बारे में सर क्या राय है कि नॉन टेंजिबल मोटिवेशन जो डे बाय डे हम कर रहे होते हैं और इस पे कुछ इतनी वैल्यू भी रखती है इसमें कॉस्ट भी नहीं आती है और टेंजिबल जो मोटिवेशंस होती हैं लाइक रिवॉर्ड्स उनकी एक्सपायरी जो है वो कम होती है तो इसके बारे में सर आपका क्या पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है
The biggest motivation I can tell you, there's so much research against tangible motivation, rewards and incentives, money, the most valuable, the research has shown the most powerful motivation is recognition. That is also the point where you build not only a motivated employee, you also build trust. And you know what? It doesn't cost a dime. All you need to do is acknowledge in front of other people the person who he cares for, his colleagues, his bosses. Acknowledge that this is the person who has made me look good, who has been instrumental in the development of this organization, who has contributed to this organization. That recognition is 100 times more valuable than the $1,000 that you're going to give him. So keep in mind, it's a recognition, intangible, doesn't cost a dime. Recognize that person's contribution. Sometimes, and I'm not talking about, by the way, don't start acknowledging minuscule and minute contributions, because that devalues recognition. Recognize meaningful, purposeful contribution in front of the people the person cares for. I can give examples. If you those of you who are parents, if you appreciate your child in front of his peers, in front of his friends, there's nothing more valuable than to bring your child closer to you as a father or as a mother, than appreciating your child, than recognizing your child in front of his friends. Same thing goes with employees. Recognize your employees in front of their peers and the person and the people he cares for, the bosses, the leaders. It will trump all financial incentive that you're going to give him.
Thank you very much, sir.
गुलाम खालिद साहब, any question in your mind? आप कुछ पूछना चाहें? गुलाम खालिद साहब.
जी सर, एक्चुअली सर जो अभी सर ने डिस्कस किया स्क्रम मास्टर जो कि एक टेम्परेरी मैनेजर होता है, तो इसके हवाले से सर जो टीम का मैनेजर होता है, सपोज एक मैनेजर एक टीम को लीड कर रहा है, तो उसको सर जरा काइंडली एक्सप्लेन करें कि व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन स्क्रम मैनेजर और मास्टर और मैनेजर.
हाँ, स्क्रम मास्टर बेसिकली आप उसको कह लेते हैं कि दिस इज he's a trainer, in service trainer. This person is not evaluating. He's just like a on the job trainer for that person. He's an expert in the task that the new employee or the team member is expected to perform. He is there to help him. He's not there to report back to the manager what he did right, what he did wrong. He's not there to check on that person. A scrum master or a trainer or a mentor, whatever you want to call it, is totally independent. And he is not giving any report back to the direct manager. The direct manager has his own a line of authority with that person. And that is, now let's get to the work. कितनी calls की हैं, कितना जो है वो business आया है. That is the job. The scrum master or mentor is telling how you are presenting it, how you are, how much time are you spending effectively, and how much time you are spending ineffectively. वो जो है वो, but remember that these two are two separate roles, not talking to each other, not telling कि मैंने ये देखा और ये तो इसने वहाँ पे जो है ना वो blow off कर दिया सारा presentation को. He's not reporting back to the manager because that kills the purpose. He's there to have that trustworthy mentor-mentee relationship, a coach and a player relationship. A coach doesn't go back and talks about his player back to the owners of the team. He's just there to train that person. That's why it's so important to have these two roles separate. And I mean, if I don't know, practically I think it's impossible for a manager to be the mentor also at the same time, because your biases, your observations come in the way of your training.
सर इसमें ये है कि जिस तरह आपने एक्सप्लेन किया कि उसकी जो नेगेटिव पॉइंट्स हैं मीन जिसमें अगर उससे कोई गलती हो जाती है तो उसको आगे डायरेक्ट मैनेजर को रिपोर्ट ना करे, तो सर हाउ डायरेक्ट मैनेजर विल इम्प्रूव हिज मिस्टेक्स?
No, direct manager is not improving. It's the mentor who's improving. Direct manager is dealing with the direct manager is dealing with the bottom line. Okay, now work. He's not actually. You are taking so much of work away from him because he's not. You cannot be the trainer and an executioner. It's just like being a judge and a prosecutor in the same role. You cannot be the judge and the prosecutor in the same role. This person, is prosecuting and also awarding the incentives or the punishment. A mentor is there to polish his skills. A manager is there to, once he knows that the scrum master, the mentor, has done his job with this person, now he can say, where is my dough? Where's the money? So there could be communication, but not in terms of identifying the things that should not be communicated with the direct manager. I know this is something entirely new. It's not easy to digest in the culture we are in, but here in the United States, most of the large organizations have separated these roles of scrum masters. Scrum masters are there for the tasks. And by the way, these scrum masters change from project to project. They keep changing. But in your case, you don't need to change. You can have a trainer and a mentor in the same role, but you cannot have a manager and a mentor in the same role. I hope, because I know that this is something, that could be a culture changing. That could be an organizational change. That's how organizations change. That's how organization, progress. That's how, they move forward, by changing the things they've always been doing. that silence tells maybe this is something so radical that you weren't expecting this in this session.
No, it's not radical. It's very interesting. We are listening you carefully.
Okay, Gulzar Sahab, your question.
Yes, sir. I have a few questions in my mind. First, I would like to mention, as Dr. Daniel Sahab has mentioned, by traits, as Dr. Saleem, you have mentioned that honesty is by trait. Mm-hmm. But I have some difference in thought. Mm-hmm. I think honesty can be developed or improved with the passage of time, by regular counseling, by keeping strong command and control, and the role of leader is very important. If he tries to adopt regular honest policies by his actions, then honesty can be developed and it can be improved in the team. Do you agree with me?
I agree with you in terms of creating the culture of honesty. Yes, because honesty comes in the culture. If everyone around you is honest, if the person who was brought up in a dishonest culture, but you put him in an honest culture, the culture takes over time. So yes, when you are teaching honesty, you are teaching honesty not as a manager. The entire culture of the organization has to be honest. And honest means what? That you are accepting failures, right? You are accepting weaknesses. If you are accepting weaknesses, failures, that means that you're expecting honesty. And the person is now doesn't have any fear of being honest, because he knows that I will be accepted. Even if I tell them honesty, it comes only when you are masking your weaknesses, when you're hiding your weaknesses, or when you're hiding something that you shouldn't be doing. So when you create a culture of acceptance, when you create a culture of accepting failures, people start being honest. That is fine to be. I actually, because I have raised 3 boys here, and touch wood, they are all at the top of their careers here in the United States. But I told them, being in education, and I'm an educator all my life, when I tell them, bring me a D or even an F, I don't care. I will still love you. I'll still like you. And coming from a culture, where we come from, it was a surprise for them. Really, Dad? If I bring a D or F, you don't care? I said, no. You know what? It never goes less than A or A plus, whatever it is. Because you have taken that fear of failing away from them. That's what you need to do with your employees also. You take the fear of failing away from them. And that will make them honest. Does that answer your question?
Yes, okay. Thank you. My second question is, you have told an excellent definition of motivation. You have told that the best motivation is recognition. We should acknowledge and recognize our colleagues in presence of other people. And we should regularly recognize and acknowledge their good efforts, good work. It's fine. But I have observed, if we keep regularly recognizing our colleagues and acknowledge their good efforts, good work, then after a few time, colleagues get relaxed. Their efforts start static, and they feel themselves in comfort zone.
I think that's why, I mentioned, if you remember that, I mentioned that you don't recognize minuscule or minute contributions. You recognize only meaningful contributions. When you recognize meaningful contributions, only then is meaningful. So here is was this Inam who was speaking?
I was Gulzar.
Okay, Gulzar. Here's an opportunity for you, and I'm going to put you in the spot here. Who of these colleagues who are present today in this meeting, who would you recognize for their contribution to this organization? And I'm talking about your peers. I'm not talking about your bosses. Among your peers, who would you like to contribute? Who would be happy getting a recognition from you?
In this meeting?
Yes.
I would like to recognize Mr. Naveed Akhtar.
For what?
He has asked some relevant and intelligent questions.
Okay. Was that meaningful contribution?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine. So just remember that it gotta be a meaningful. So Naveed, I think you heard from Gulzar.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Guldar Sahab, for recognizing, and it really gave me immense pleasure.
And I'm telling you, if it when it comes straight from the heart, genuine people, remember that we are all living, emotional, thinking, listening human beings. We can differentiate between a trivial recognition and the genuine recognition. So when Naveed heard your recognition, he knows what Gulzar was talking about. How deep, how real that recognition is. I wouldn't be able to judge on that, but only you know, Naveed, that how real that recognition was, and how meaningful that recognition was, or how important that recognition is for you. So just to give you an example here. So when you recognize, when you create a culture of recognizing, make sure that you are recognizing for meaningful contributions, not for trivial. Make sense?
Yes, you're right. Thank you. And my last question, that is about emotional intelligence. That is very interesting and sensitive topic. Emotions are related to with everybody, and sometimes in during our job, our few colleagues are so smart, so clever. They use their emotional intelligence very cleverly or with wisdom. They use emotional words, they make emotional faces, and they try to escape from the real situation, and they get emotional. How to control such type of emotional phases?
I think the answer is in your question already. When you said they try to escape from a situation, that is the answer. You already know that that was a fake emotion.
Then how to handle that?
I think once you the way you create that culture, wherein for if it is a naturally it's a one-to-one situation or it's a group situation, it depends. So you bring that into one-to-one situation because you cannot confront an emotional meltdown in a group. If it's an emotional meltdown situation, you ask that person to have one-to-one with you, and there you let them vent. You as a trainer, as a mentor, you are there to absorb. That's an honorable position to be in, wherein the person is sharing with you their most their deepest weaknesses. So you take that emotional meltdown and you let them vent completely. You don't push it back. At that time, pushing it back will hurt the long-term interests of the organization. So once you have let them vent, then you recognize, even if it's you know that this is none of your business to be listening to their emotional meltdown, you still give value to their emotional meltdown as a human being. Once you have given that recognition that it's okay, that you're still caring for their emotional meltdown, then you tell them what to do next. Letting it just get shoved under the rug is not a solution. You create the next step. All right, we have come to this point when a certain situation that you can handle. It's okay. It's okay to not succeed. I will give you a path where you will see some success. Give them a task that they can succeed on and show you results and feel happy about it. Because one failure leading to another failure will lead to quitting. You give one failure leading to another small success, and where you as a leader are giving them the opportunity to succeed, will give them the hope of doing it better next time. So give them a task, modify the task in a way that they can see a success. They can show you, because what they're worried about. They're worried about losing losing your trust, losing their face in front of you. So knowing that they were less than being honest, give them the escape. Give them the escape, not they're escaping. Give them the escape and give them a route to come back around by giving them a task, a modified task, which they can succeed and show you, oh look, we did it good this time.
Thank you.
Next.
Nasibullah sahab, any question?
Sir, I have a question. You told in empowering that team initiative is good rather than individual initiative. Sir, don't you think that in team incentives, individuals working hard are those who are working hard and they are productive more than others? They are more productive, they are working hard. So they will be demoralized because they get the same things that others are getting. So team incentives में यही चीज है कि जो non performers है perform they get same things while individual incentives में जो ज़्यादा मेहनत करे, जो ज़्यादा प्रोडक्टिव हो, उनको ज़्यादा अर्निंग हो, और जो कम प्रोडक्टिव हो, जो कम मेहनत करे, उनकी जो है वो कम इंसेंटिव्स बने। मैं एग्जांपल्स दूंगा, मतलब इसमें कम्युनिज्म इसीलिए फेल हुआ कि उसमें वहाँ पे ये था कि सबके लिए इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटीज, इक्वल वो था, वो थ्रू आउट द वर्ल्ड दे फेल बिकॉज वहाँ पे एफर्ट्स को वो रिकग्निशन नहीं मिली, while capitalism is going very strong, sir. ये मेरा क्वेश्चन है, सर.
Okay. Remember that we talked about developing go-getter teams. Go-getter team में क्या है कि अगर आप, if you are talking about one person and making it individual, that person will succeed, yes. But then there will be such a discrepancy, just like in capitalism, which you rightly pointed out. There are 0.0001% of the people who now control the economy of the running world. And 99% of the people are unable to shine or to compete. In a team incentive environment, and again, the formula, by the way, is somewhere between 70%, 30%, and some you use 80%, 20%. Meaning you still have a component between 20 and 30% individual incentive and 70 to 80% team incentive. You create an environment of everyone should succeed. That environment of individual success creates alienation. I don't care if you succeed or not. This is my success, this is my area, and I'm fine with it. The organization is losing when individuals are succeeding in pockets. When the teams succeed, everyone succeeds. Elon Musk is succeeding, everyone in the team is succeeding. Google is succeeding, everyone is just succeeding. So these are the team environments. The tasks are also team. By the way, and I'm telling you, all of those organizations, probably, if you're aware of, these high performing, including Amazon, all that, these are team-based, high-performing. Yes, there are many companies still out there where individuals shine and all that. But I'm telling you, these are the companies which are now touching $1 trillion in their revenues, $1 trillion in their capitals. These are the companies which are team-based. You want genetics to be the top pharmaceutical company in the country, you got to make sure everyone, even the weakest link in this organization, is succeeding. And you create that culture by making sure that everyone cares for someone else's success. And you will see that everyone, the people who are not performing, they would start performing because of the culture that you have created. So don't think, that they will always be underperformers. The purpose of this is to changing the culture when everyone is succeeding, and that will ensure the organization itself is succeeding. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
जी, और किसे सवाल करना है? Anybody willing?
सर मेरा था एक सवाल.
जी. जी.
Okay. Dr. Sahab, you know very well that we are having a team of people. उसमें कुछ लोग होते हैं जो कि newly joiner हैं. They are like hunters. There are achievers. There are the satisfier and the holy cows. We are facing problem in the satisfier. He is doing his target and still can do a lot of good work, but he is actually satisfied and he said that I am doing my target 110%. So how to counter them? Kindly guide us, give us a few tips of
टारगेट बढ़ा दें उनके नबीद साहब.
वो सर वो तो ठीक है, लेकिन सर वो गंद करते हैं ना. वो करते हैं कि जनाब वो मैं तो कर रहा हूँ, मेरे लिए कुछ नहीं कंपनी सोच रही है और तुम भी नहीं करो, तुम करोगे तो क्या मिलेगा. वो इस तरह की ना नेगेटिविटी प्रोड्यूस होती है।
नहीं, उनको
Yes,
जो है,
doctor.
उनको आप जब ऐसे होते हैं तो उनको आप अथॉरिटी भी दे देते हैं, गिव
हाँ
देम द
सर,
अथॉरिटी
वो
टू टेक।
समटाइम देते हैं, ये रिपोर्ट्स आप कलेक्ट करोगे, आप ये चेक करोगे, ये करोगे, ताकि वो खुश रहे और इस तरह थोड़ी सी वो रहे लाइफ
These
में।
are the people, actually, you can use them as mentors. You don't have to have full time mentor. अब उसको बोलो जी,
Okay.
ये अंडर परफॉर्मर के लिए आप मेंटोर हो, but you don't have to report it to me. Part of your job, and I will pay you for that extra work that you're doing, helping this person out. You'll be paid for that, but you're not reporting on that person. आप इसको मेंटोर बना दे, पार्ट टाइम मेंटोर बना दे.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? कि आप इसको,
Yes sir, yes
आप
sir.
उसको मेंटोर बना दें. I mean, because he is so successful, give him the opportunity to become to practice leadership. और जब आप उसको प्रैक्टिस लीडरशिप की जो है वो देते हैं, तो आप उसको you compensate him for that. He is making more money. You're not raising his target, and he's also practicing leadership. But making sure he's not reporting back to you, because then that will kill the purpose of mentorship.
ऐसे लोगों के लिए सर ये है नवीद साहब कि उनको अगर हम ये सर कर रहे हैं, उनको डेलीगेट करें, कुछ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज डेलीगेट्स कर दें, ताकि उनको फील हो रिकग्निशन एंड दे विल बी मोटिवेटेड।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सर, करते हैं यूजुअली ना, जैसे एक्सपेंस यार सबके जमा कर लो, चेक कर लो, कोई गलती तो नहीं है, इस तरह के छोटे मोटे ऐसे काम जिसमें वो खुश हो, करते रहते हैं।
लेकिन वो कोई भी recognition, this is a sort of recognition, this is a form of recognition.
Yes.
But remember that this recognition must be meaningful. ये ना हो कि लो जी ये काम जो है ना, ये इन्होंने मुझे क्लरिकल जॉब दे दिया.
Hello.
जी, go ahead.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, इमरान अलवी फ्रॉम कराची डिवीजन। सर मेरे जो है तकरीबन 2 से 3 क्वेश्चन थे। एक तो स्क्रम मास्टर का ऑलरेडी हो चुका है, आस्क्ड बाय एज किसी और लीडर ने ऑलरेडी कर लिया है। सेकंड था कि फोकस करना उन सब ऑर्डिनेंट्स को जो कि लो परफॉर्मेंस हो। तो पहला क्वेश्चन तो ये है कि उनके कौन कौन से जो चीज़ों को देखते हुए हम उनको और मोटिवेट कर सकते हैं। दूसरी चीज़ ये थी कि ट्रस्टेड, आपने एक उसमें बताया कि ट्रस्टेड मीटिंग जो है वो आप करें अपने मैनेजर्स के साथ और माइंडफुलनेस सेशंस करें, तो उसकी कोई टिप अगर आप देना चाहें। ये 2-3 क्वेश्चंस थे।
Yes. In fact, in my place of work, we have weekly meetings, and we always spend about 10 minutes in what we call the mindfulness sessions. ये बाकायदा जो है वो जो मेडिटेशन म्यूजिक है वो पीछे चला के 10 मिनट के लिए, doesn't take longer than that, 5 minutes, even 5 minutes, उसको पीछे बाकायदा आप मेडिटेशन म्यूजिक लगाते हैं, क्योंकि आपने इस जगह का कल्चर चेंज करना है, आपने लोगों को काम करना है, उनकी नर्व्स को काम करना है, उनको आपने हैप्पी करना है. They have to have the sense कि this is about my overall well-being. ये जगह जो है जब मैं आता हूँ, I feel happy in this place. I feel good in this place. तो meditation 5-minute session, 10-minute session. If you start your meetings, आपकी weekly meeting है, monthly meeting है, जो भी है, can you just play a meditation music in the background, Zen music in the background, and create a mindfulness session. उसमें क्या होता है कि एक sense of एक center में एक center piece होता है, and everyone is focusing on the center piece. कुछ लोग जो ना वो light रख लेते हैं, candle रख लेते हैं, कोई जो है वो waterfall वो मिलती हैं, electronic waterfalls, वो जो है वो fish tank aquarium रख लेते हैं. So you just focus on that for 10 minutes, and you'll see the energy in the house, all those anxieties just phasing out, poof, like that, and everyone feels the change in the overall mood, the atmosphere of the meeting. So once you have that, ये तो हो गया meditation का. आपका क्वेश्चन था focus on underperformers. तो underperformers, this is where the trust meetings come in. The trust meetings are with the managers, where he comes in. You can give your stresses to me, and I will help you out. I will do my best so that you could focus on your work. tell me what is impeding you, what is stopping you from being the best. Is it your food? When I talked about the healthy body and healthy mind, that includes everything. Be an example of healthy eating yourself. This is what is healthy food looks like. This kind of food will make you lethargic. Is this something in the family? Is there something is a health issue? Is there something that is bothering you? Is it the finances? Anything, even if you cannot help, but just giving them an ear to listen would make them feel that I have a person I can trust. And by the way, that trust can never be shattered. That is between you and that person only. That's it. Because you are there serving as a person, he is coming there to vent out. You are sitting in a confessional, and a leader is listening to all of that without any judgment. That now I'm judging you because you told me your weakness. Now I'll be careful, how to adjust myself accordingly. No, I will make up for your weakness. I'll train you. I'll support you in ways so that you could be your best. So that's how you are earning their trust and keeping their trust.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, Dr. Saleem, thank you very much. I think I would like to now formally take this session towards closing. There are few people who are at the head office, and I'm sure everybody is in the sales team management. They are attending it from their home. People have enjoyed from all their ends. I think a very interesting topic was there, and we chosen it out of the selection you've given us. Go-getter team, and we'll be definitely, and every team member who's attended this session will be working very hard in order to work upon these tips and these guidelines for developing in their capacity the go-getter team in their zones. They're basically senior management sales managers. The last time we met in Dubai, it was the senior management and the middle sales management who attended that session. I'm sure it has helped everybody a great deal, and I can relate it to the success we started having after the training was taken by the whole group in Dubai, and then they came back, and I'm sure they have practiced those skills and knowledge in the field, and I can honestly tell you that it produced results because we started achieving our sales objectives after that time period. And it was very unfortunate that in the middle of the March we had this outbreak, and we still are working very hard and doing a lot of other things to cope up with the situation. But certainly, I would like to thank you for taking out your very valuable time and giving this very interesting training session to the sales management team.
Amir, I must say that you have actually, I think, given the evidence of a true leader who speaks last.
I think my mic was closed.
I said, a true leader eats and speaks last.
Somebody, a leader that he closes, shut down his mic so that he's not able to speak.
So Daniel was, being a good filter today.
Yeah. And I think there is something which always do better. There's certainly some connectivity issues, and we can certainly find out better way of having better connection next time, so that everybody they stay connected and that they are able to participate and then they are able to enjoy without any interruption when the session is going live.
Of course, one day I would like to come and speak to all of you in person.
Yes, thank you everybody who has been there throughout the session, and I'm sure it was very interesting, and it will be very helpful for everyone to pick up points and then start working on them. And then till next time, we choose another program. We say goodbye to Dr. Saleem, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, folks. Thank you.
Open up and do some clapping for him.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.